Okay, roll camera, action. There is a specific feeling some of us get. Not sadness exactly, more like static. Too many people, too many opinions about who you should be, too much of noise that isn't even yours. And somewhere in that static, a thought shows up. I want to leave. All of it. I want to be alone long enough to actually hear myself again. It's not really about hating people, it's about losing track of yourself inside them, inside the roles, the expectations, the version of you that everyone around you has already decided on. Solitude, my friends, real solitude, does something strange. It strips away the audience, and without an audience, you're forced to find out who you are when no one's watching, no one's grading your performance. That's not weakness. Some of the most self possessed people in history needed exactly that deliberately on purpose. In 1845, a writer named Henry David Thoreau walked into the woods outside Concord, Massachusetts, and built himself a one-room cabin by a pond. He lived there alone for a little over 2 years, not because he hated society, because he wanted to, in his own words, live deliberately and find out what was essential before he ran out of time to find out. And that book became Walden. And nearly 150 years later, a young man named Christopher McCandless carried a copy of it with him when he did something far more extreme. In 1990, McCandless graduated college, gave away his entire savings and burned his identification and disappeared into a country under a new name. 2 years later, he hitchhiked into Alaskan wilderness alone and moved into an abandoned bus on a stampede trail. He never walked back out. He was just 24. John Krakauer turned his story into the book Into the Wild in 1996. Sean Penn turned it into a film in 2007. And that film does not pretend the ending is triumphant. It's not, it's devastating. But it also treats the impulse itself as insane. McCandless wasn't running from a good life. He was running toward the feeling of finally being unknown by anyone else's version of him. A few things make Into the Wild work as a film, not just a story. Sean Penn structures it out of order, cutting between McCandless's final starving days in a bus and the 2 free restless years that got him there. So you're watching his best moments and his worst moments collide the entire time. Emil Hirst physically starved himself for the role in the closing scenes, and the soundtrack written and performed by Eddie Vedder isn't the background music, it's basically narrating alongside him. At the end of the day, I'm not telling you to burn your ID and disappear into a forest. That part of the story is just a warning, not an instruction. But the feeling underneath it, the pull towards the silence, towards being alone with your own thoughts long enough to actually recognize them, that part isn't dangerous. That part might be the most honest thing you feel all year. You don't need Alaska. You just need to stop performing for a while and see who's still there when you do. And that's the end of the video, my friends. If you like the content, kindly put a like, comment, and share along with your friends. Thank you. Bye-bye. And courage.